Hello, hi, and welcome to the next part of our Unity tutorial series in which we're going to look at level design a little bit. So we're making the level a bit more playable than we have it right now. So therefore, we have got our Unity editor open, and the first thing that I want to do is right now when I play the game, we only have this little box here. No, this little square that is 1 by 1. Like that's just a plain 1 by 1. That's almost nothing. So I want to go deep into the field, right? Reaching deep into there, and then that's it, right? I want the level to be longer than this. So what I can do is I can just stretch out the plane here. If I grab it and press R, or I can click here on the scale and scale it here by changing the values, I can just do this, right? One problem that you see is that the material itself stretches as well, so that we don't have this nice checkerboard look anymore. It's kind of messed up. Control Z brings it back. So therefore, what we want to do for this level is we want to make prefabs that we can use later on, right? So prefabs, ground prefabs. So this is, for example, the plane that we have is ground 1 by 1. 1 by 1. We could now make different types of grounds. This, of course, I want to make a new folder here. I will make a new folder. That one is level, right? Or let's call that ground. Usually this is called prefabs, this folder. But it depends on your organization. We already have a folder, so let's take the prefab folder. Okay, I've got the prefab folder open here. There's different types of organizing your program. I will take the ground 1 by 1, put it in here, and now I can put those pieces as many times in the level as I want. Right? You see they are now floating around, so we can make them like you jump up somewhere, you go down, and stuff like that. So ground 1 by 1. That's the first thing that we have. Now the second one. I want somewhere, whoops, control, if you have an element and hit Control D, that duplicates the element. You will use that quite often. So I want to push that somewhere back here, and let's say this one is 10. 10 by 1. So it's 10 in this, 1 by 10 actually. So let's make that 10. You see this is the Z variable, so that is 10. And we will see I have to push it a little bit back here, right? And that seems to be 55, the correct value here, just mathematically. So the problem you see now, it's really stretched out. Let's take the goal and actually put that here to the end, right? And really the material is stretched out. So I want this, I've just copied the prefab, which right now this is the same prefab, which is kind of not correct because I want this to be 1 by 10. And what we can do is just drag and drop that, and we can make a prefab variant, which is just, it's using the same prefab overall, and then it just varies from that. What we want is an original prefab, which is ground 1 by 10. So I can use ground 1 by 10 as many times as I want throughout the level now. The only thing is the material still sucks. So when I click on my ground 1 by 10 prefab, what I want to do is the material. We've got floor material. So I can click on floor material and floor will be selected. We got to change something here. So the floor is now floor 1 by 1. That's the material. So I rename that to 1 by 1. That's the material that this one uses. We need another material, floor 1 by 10. So I click on it. I hit Control D for duplicate. And there I've got it, 1 by 10. So I will take that 1 by 10 and drop it on the prefab. Right? I will take that here and I've got the prefab and I will just drop that into the material here. So now this one is using 1 by 10. The thing is we still need to change this. And you will see there is something called in the material itself, something called tiling. Right? Tiling. There's two tilings. There's two UVs. We're taking the upper one. Take care, you're taking the upper one here. So we want the tiling, and you see if I stretch that out, you see it changes, right? It changes, it changes, it changes. And of course that value needs to be 10 because we have the size is 10 in the Y direction. That's what we changed, right? And that is how we can make different tiles, Right? And now this looks like, it looks really seamlessly now. What I can do is I can just drag that and put that a little bit there. So we have to jump, for example. We will have to make a little jump, maybe like this. Let's test it. Maybe let's take a round value. Let's make that 60. Maybe that's enough. I don't know. We'll see. I can play it now and I have to jump. And that is enough. Yes, one jump. Okay. I can now grab that 1x10 as many times. Whoops, that's the material. The prefab, the 1x10 prefab that I have in my prefab folder, I can take as many times in the level and I can push it wherever I want. The one thing you see, strange, right? Why did the material not change? You see this one here is still using the 1x1. This one is using the 1x10 material, right? You see that? That's kind of a difference. And what we can see here also when using prefabs, up there, one of those here has a blue, the one we changed is marked in blue, which means we have changed it. So that is not in the prefab anymore. We have overwritten the prefab. So if I right click and apply to the prefab, you will see the prefab itself changes. There we go. So I can now take 1x1, I can take 1x10, I can take my sticky, I can take my bouncy. I could make a nice level now, which I will not do right now because time is limited. There we go. So that's now pretty nice. One thing that of course you realize, we're not following the player. I don't see it anymore in the distance. That's way too far ahead. So the second part in this video is actually parenting. Parenting is combining objects into one. They stay individual game objects, but they move in the same way. The transform here will be the same. They will be controlled through it's not the same transform, but they will be controlled by a third transform that's sitting on top of it. So what I want to do is the player right now here in our bar, in our hierarchy, should be followed by the camera. If I find there, the main camera. What you can do is just take the main camera, drag and drop it onto the player, and now the camera is connected to the player transform. So parenting really is using the transform. You can see now if I put the player somewhere else. So if I have my game view, I'm putting my game view right now here to just see it better, and I'll keep it there for now. If I take my player object, right, and there's the pretty funny. If I take my player object and you see this is back there, the pivot, but click on pivot, I had that in an earlier video, it goes back to the player. If I move the player, you see that the camera moves with it. So if I hit the play button, I will put the game back here. If I hit the play button, now the player moves and you can see the camera follows. That's good. That's exactly what we want. One disadvantage that we have right now, if the player rotates, you see the camera also going crazy. So what we want to do in this case, the player should not rotate anymore, right? So we are going to freeze the Y rotation. If you want the player model still to rotate, you will have to make another empty game object, basically, put the player in there, and then make the main camera and the player react on the game object. And then put the game object, the movement and stuff on that game object, right? So then the player model, this would then just be the player model, would be individual from the camera, but still both would be controlled from this game object. I don't want to do that right now, so I will just get rid of this, do this. Just one thing that has been annoying me for a long time now, I want the camera to be higher and more close to the player and actually rotate it a bit more. Because just the camera angle was kind of messed up all the time. When playing it, it didn't feel nice. That's way better. So maybe a little bit down, but that's game design. That's that's something we can change at any time. So you see now I can follow it. I can go to the goal, and that's it. Right. So yes. What we can do now as well is put more prefabs through our level, right? We've got the bouncies, we've got the stickies. We can put more of those in there so that the player really has to jump all the time. We could, for example, put more ground and raise it a little bit. That's so that the player has to jump in the end, jump up there. maybe travel on that for a little bit. Maybe let's do this. Let's put it here. Stuff like that, right? So you can do anything right now. You can do anything with those prefabs that we have, and that will also be your homework for now. Yes, you're getting homework here. Make a nice level. That's pretty much it. Try to make a nice level. Put some of those grounds. Make a new ground, maybe 5 by 5, maybe 10 by 1, maybe 2 by 2. That's completely up to you. Put them, spread them around the world here. Put some stickies on there. Put some bouncies. Whatever your heart desires right now, make this look a little bit nice, right? Or make it a playable level. The last thing right now, so that's your homework. The last thing right now that is also annoying, which takes a minute to fix, is that we can see infinitely far. Right? I don't want to see the goal. I must not see what's far ahead. To change that, we are going to add simple fog. Just go to Window, and there is Rendering, and then Lighting. That controls the lighting of your scene. And in the lighting, we have so-called environment. And in the environment, very, very simple, we can turn on fog. You see what happens? If I turn on fog, we cannot really see what's in the distance. So if I change the density to 0.2, for example, we cannot really see far. It's not the perfect fog. It's not volumetric fog, but it still limits our vision a little bit. So we can't see too much in the distance. You can also give that a nice little, different color. Yeah, whitish, grayish, reddish to be really dangerous. Green, you can just change the color however you like. I want some yellowish tone here. That's it. We can change the mode. Linear is more linear and exponential. That's pretty much it. Exponential squared is the one that gets closest to what we really have in reality. Okay, good. That's the last thing. Don't forget your homework. I will also do the same. I don't like yellow. Let's make it whitish. Don't forget your homework, right? Your homework is to build a nice level, which is right now just straightforward. You just follow the track, maybe a little bit left, maybe a little bit right. Yeah, that's what the camera does now, right? It follows the player. If you bounce into something, it bounces. If you jump, you follow the player. You get it, I think. Right? Make a nice level. That's up to you. Let me know in the comments below if this has helped you a little bit. Let me know if you've got a nice level. And if this was any helpful, like the video. Don't forget to share. I never say that, but share the videos. I would love to have this video series out there and people watching it. More people watching it. I highly appreciate you already doing that. But the more the better, right? The more the merrier. Yeah. Thanks for the like. Thanks for the subscription. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and bye-bye.